Consider the season you're making your fabric for, consider your customer, and consider like your collection, whether the color palette is meant to blend with the other fabrics in your collection. I think this is the point where you really have to let your creativity shine, because you want the print to be exciting, unique to you, but not be too overwhelming. Welcome back to the channel. This week my name is Priscilla. I'm a Nigerian women's wear designer based in the UK. In this video I'm going to be talking you guys through how I was able to create my own custom prints, which I went on to put on fabric for my first collection. I'm going to talk you guys through the full process of sketching down my design, my inspiration, how I got it printed, and where I got it printed as well. Now, disclaimer, I am not a graphic designer, I am not a textile designer, I'm just someone who loves color and appreciates print. So I knew for my first collection I wanted to do something that had a custom printed fabric. So I'll tell you guys what I did. I had huge support and help from my husband, who is really into technology and IT, and he understands like a lot of the software is a lot better than I do. But I'm going to share with you guys all that I know. I have my notes here. I've written down all the points that I want to cover. But the technique and the method I work with is digital printing. So you have your design made and then you print it onto fabric. You can create fabric prints by other methods as well. You can also create texture and colors on fabric by weaving the threads together. So I just wanted to say there are many other ways you can create your own custom fabrics aside printing them. This is just one of the many ways. If I find any other useful videos, I'm going to link it in the description box down below. If you also know any other ways of creating really fun custom prints and custom fabrics, feel free to share in the comment section as well. And with that being said, let's actually get into this video. For my first collection, my main inspiration was the kola nut, which I've also translated onto merch like I have here. I've printed onto tote bags, I've printed on scarves, but that was my main object or inspiration. I found a picture on the internet of a bunch of kola nuts. I hand sketched it onto paper. That was like the very first thing I did. I like to work from paper, then scan my designs onto Illustrator or Photoshop. But if you have an iPad that lets you draw straight onto like a digital interface, I recommend that, because you would skip the process of having to scan your hand drawing but that is on paper, like have to scan that in and edit it on Illustrator and have to trace it on Illustrator. So you have to have a level of how to use Adobe softwares if you want to follow this route that I'm going to be talking to you guys about. Once you have this digital format of your design, the next thing I recommend that you do, some people might not say it's compulsory, but I would say convert that file into an SVG. An SVG means scalable vector graphics. So when you convert that from that format, whether it's a PNG or a JPEG, once you convert that into SVG, SVG actually allows you to go in to edit those lines, because when you're able to edit those lines, you can change the color of the lines. So once you've converted that file to SVG, you can do this on the internet. There are websites where you can just upload your document and it will convert it into an SVG file for you, and that you can then pull into Photoshop. And if you want to change the color of the lines, maybe you drew with black pen, you want to change the lines to blue, orange, gold, whatever, that SVG file would allow you to actually do that. So once you are satisfied with the color and the shape, whatever you are deciding as your inspiration and whatever you've actually designed and traced and converted into that SVG file, you have to export this as a PNG, which means that the background is transparent. So you just have the floating shape or the floating object. And once you have the background transparent, believe me, you can now really go in and have a lot of fun with the background of your print. You can even add texture, you can layer shapes behind your design that you've drawn and you want to create a print from. But it is really important to export that design as a PNG. Software that we actually use to create the print tile is Adobe Design. You can do this on Photoshop, you can do this on so many other different apps, but the one we actually used was Adobe Design. And on this, what we did was we created a tile that was the dimension of a meter of fabric. So a typical meter of fabric is 100 meters to 150 meters wide and then 100 meters tall. So that way we're able to see, like, in real scale size, how big or how small the print is going to be. So the next thing that I would really say is very important is choosing your color palette. And when you're choosing your color palette, consider the season you're making your fabric for, consider your customer, and consider like your collection, whether the color palette is meant to blend with the other fabrics in your collection. If it's a warm season, you want to stick with lighter colors. If it's for autumn winter, you can go ahead and experiment with darker colors. And if your customer base is minimalist, you might not want to really add very punchy colors in that fabric. So these are some things I would say you should really keep in mind when choosing your color palette. Say if you are choosing a color palette, don't have too many colors because you might tend to get confused or overwhelmed. I'll say anything from 3 to 5 colors is like a safe place to be. You don't have to even use all the colors in the color palette. You can decide to use one color for just like the outline of your object, another color as the background of your fabric, another color as maybe the highlights of your shape. Just play around and experiment with where you decide to place certain colors. I think this is the point where you really have to let your creativity shine, because you want the print to be exciting, unique to you, but not be too overwhelming. So once I deported everything in XD, we then created a tile system. So we just duplicated the same shape across the entire surface of the shape that we had created. That was the dimension of a meter of fabric. We played around with the rotation, we scaled it out, we scaled it in, we added highlights, we added background objects, which background objects are shadows and maybe lines or anything that would really make your fabric pop. Adding some texture, adding some colors that would create a contrast with your print against the background of your fabric. As you create your fabric and as you go along the way, I would say save the different versions that you come up with. So maybe you might have a version of your fabric that had one color as the background and another color as your shape or your object. When you create another iteration, save that original one. Even if you don't end up using all the different like iterations of your design, 2 or 3 seasons down the line, you might remember, oh, I really did this fabric in this colorway, and you can go back, pull that design and print it onto fabric if you want to. No knowledge, no information is wasted. I remember the scarves that I did in my 3rd collection were actually a print design that we made from our 1st collection that we ended up not using. I just remembered, oh, I actually have a black and beige print that I think would go perfectly for this scarf, because I wanted a scarf that was on the neutral side, so it's something that people would find it easy to wear. So we just went back to our archive, we went through the different iterations, and I was like, you know what, I want that one. And I just took it, uploaded it to the website where I print my fabrics, and there I had my fabric already done. Now, where do I print my fabric? I actually print my fabric on a website called Woven Monkey. They are based in the UK. I think with Brexit, I tend to stay away from any manufacturer that is in the EU, because shipping anything from EU countries right now, oh my god, the import taxes are through the roof. So I tend to stick with British manufacturers, hence why I tend to stick with the same ones that I've already used. So I use Woven Monkey, but I know there's some other amazing ones that you can consider if you're in the UK. I know there is one called, I think it's called Lemon Print or Lemon Head Print. They're also like a great option. Something I would also recommend is checking out Etsy. I've seen a lot of independent artists who you just literally have to upload your prints and choose the fabric you want, and they can actually get the fabric printed for you. So check out Etsy as well. Something else I could consider if you don't want to go through the whole hurrah of making a custom print is actually work with textile designers. So these are people who already have experience creating fabrics. They know people who print fabrics. They know good fabrics to get your design printed on. So if you know someone who creates textiles, I would say do that. It will save you a lot of money and it will save you a lot of headache if you're not down to go through the whole process yourself. I know there is a Nigerian brand that actually has worked with a lot of very notable fashion designers like Kai Collective, Orange Culture, called Grapes Pattern Bank. I think that's what they are called. And on their website, they literally just have prints that you can just click. Honestly, it's so easy and so straightforward. I just think it's very, very clever. You can just go there, choose the fabric you want, choose the print you want, and just have it printed, and you see the price there and there. And then if you want to have the fabric exclusive to you and your brand, you pay, I think you pay a slightly higher price, but at least you know you're buying that print exclusively from them. They have a very amazing collection of different designs, colors, and it's based in Nigeria, so you know you're supporting like a black-owned brand, you know you're supporting local talent in Africa. So that's basically the whole process I went through for creating my own fabric. I would say don't rush the process because you want the fabric to come out really, really good. So rather than just try and get it out done in a week, take your time, shop around for manufacturers that could actually print your fabric. You don't have to use mine. You can actually find a printer that is local to you. Before you print the big 10 meters, 20 meters of your fabric, order like a fabric swatch in your fabric of choice, whether that is cotton, silk, satin, jersey. Order that tiny swatch, wash it, stitch it, see how it reacts to heat, see if the color payoff is as you want it to be, because when you have that fabric ordered and you see what it's like, you know you can go back and make changes. I'd also recommend, if you are feeling up to the task, to check out Asian wholesale printers on like Alibaba, AliExpress, because I've heard that when you print with these bigger printing places in Asia, they tend to have a lower cost per unit if you're ordering more. Shop around, have a look, do lots of research. My video might be one of your research that you're doing. Watch a few more. Ask other creators who have created their own custom fabrics so you're well informed before making that purchase of buying your custom prints in a lot of quantity. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. I hope you found it useful. This is something that I get asked often in my DMs, so it just made a lot of sense to actually make a video for you guys if you're looking to create your own custom prints. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your sewing community or with anybody who you think will find it useful. And until my next video, have a good morning, afternoon and evening wherever you are. Bye.